How do you respond to God's grace? That's what we're thinking about today as we continue in our reading from Genesis chapter 28. Yesterday, we heard all about the dream that Jacob had. He saw angels descending and ascending on a ladder from heaven to earth and back, and he heard a promise from God that through Jacob, all the nations of the earth are going to be blessed through the offspring of Jacob, and that Jacob was going to have vast numbers of descendants. He was going to be brought back to this land and settle this land, and God was going to give him this land. So all of these promises from God, God says, you can count on it. And so then Jacob wakes up, and that's where we pick it up. Verse 18, so early in the morning, Jacob took the stone that he had put under his head and set it up for a pillar and poured oil on the top of it. He called the name of the place Bethel, but the name of the city was Luz at the time. Then Jacob made a vow, saying, if God will be with me and will keep me in this way that I go, and will give me bread to eat and clothing to wear, so that I come again to my father's house in peace, then the Lord shall be my God. And this stone which I have set up for a pillar shall be God's house. And of all that you give me, I will give a full tenth to you. So Jacob wakes up and he begins talking to God. This is really a prayer, isn't it? It's, Lord, you've made this promise to me. How now am I going to respond? And it kind of sounds at first to us like, well, okay, if God keeps his promises, then I'll respond in this way. That's what it sounds like, because if God will be with me and will keep me in this way that I go. But that's not really the intended sense here. It's more along the lines of this. If that's what's going to happen, since that's what's going to happen, since God is faithful to his promises and he's made all of these promises to me, since that's the case, well, I'm going to worship the Lord. I'm going to serve him. I'm going to worship him right here, right now. He sets up the stone, pours oil over it. It's an act of worship. And he says, I'm going to give a tenth of everything back to the Lord. Why? Because the Lord has been good to me. The Lord will be good to me. This is an act of faith. And that's where we are, isn't it? The promises that we have in baptism, the promises of everlasting life, the promises of resurrection life, all of those promises are promises that we receive by faith right now. We can't see them, tangibly have them yet, but they are sure and certain, and we can live like Jacob does here, saying, well, Lord, since that's the case, since you've promised that I'm an adopted child of yours, since you've promised that I get resurrection life, since you've promised that my sins are forgiven, since you've promised all of these things, well, you know what, Lord? I'm going to love you, serve you, worship you right here, right now, because your promises are a guarantee. Well, the Lord has made a lot of promises to you. In Christ, they are yours. It is sure. It is certain. It is guaranteed in Christ. And so now live today with the assurance of those promises. Live today in worship of the Lord, giving to him because he has given to you. Have a great weekend. I look forward to spending more time with you on Monday, and look forward to Monday, 1 o'clock. We have a special guest for another anchored discussion. I think you'll enjoy that. God's blessings. We will see you, if not this weekend in worship, then we'll see you on Monday.